of the property lines. I went close to about 300 feet to make sure we got some of those people like a little bit further down from Skyline Builders and stuff like that, because, you know, I just didn't want to be in a position where my neighbor got a notice, but I didn't, kind of a thing. And just where it is a little bit more, those zone changes tend to be a little heated sometimes, so.
If we could choose like a perfect what to do with this land, what would it be? I mean, we're talking about this step down thing. Is what he's proposing basically what we are hoping for?
It's in the range of our general plan. We've already identified this as a medium density, which is either R2 or R3. It could be either one of those.
Helps with the step down.
That fits within that overall goal of stepping it down. Potential. And
Why can't you get him to take the whole rest of the property east?
Does he own the property with the diesels?
I don't believe so. I think it's family.
Now, this is just a question. We're looking to rezone a piece of property this is just me asking the question. I look at it, what's the difference with what he has down there in a junkyard? He doesn't have a fence around it or anything like that. We're just saying, yeah, go ahead. The other property down there isn't up to sitting, and I'm talking and asking the questions where the diesels are. I've been concerned with that. Nothing's ever been to that. You know, environmental, there's a lot of questions with that. They're not doing following city codes now, and then they're asking for us to rezone it. That's a good one. I mean, that property there, you go down there, any of you go down and look at it and look at what's there. And anywhere else in town, I don't think,
I don't
know why we allow it. Them diesels he's got a business down there that's wrecking a lot of thing in my eyes, that he's completely out of our zone, and we've talked to him and whatever. I don't know what's happened with it, but it's more concerning with me. We're dealing with property out here that has to be cleaned up at the coal yard, let alone somebody out there changing their oil out there. And you go down and look at it.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, correct me. And I'm just saying
brother-
that why should we rezone it until he starts doing what? I'm just asking the question. Why should we rezone a piece of property when he's currently not?
And maybe we could ask the question or include it in the same conversation while we're doing this. Could we look at the bigger? But if it's somebody else's property, if it's a brother or somebody else.
Right, so I think what happened, it was under ownership, and I think he has a parcel and his brother who has, I believe, like a trucking type thing. It used to just be an office, but I think they're seeing more.
But I mean,
Do they have a business loan?
they both,
They do.
Yeah.
both properties have some big questions for me because they're not following ours. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you have a junkyard like Geno's or something that we've had, well, with old outfits they work on, you're supposed to have a fence around it, right? There's never been I mean, go down, I'm asking these questions
Yeah.
for planning and zoning. You know, you guys are looking at the property. I know it's probably as frustrating for all of us as it is, but my heck, yeah. Go down and look at it
Well, Megan, those
And
holes
see.
on the northeast corner, that is one of the Beal brothers lives there. Or close to these. But there's also two homes in the middle of the block. I just don't know how it's all
Who's
set
your
up
house?
right now, but
I think we can put some restrictions on our approval. And
I think
I think
what I was looking at from my conversations with him is he's looking to improve the property.
okay, so he cleans this lot off, but it doesn't end up in the other lot. That's
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
Number two, he disposes of all of the stuff that's on his property properly. We don't want it moved.
Just to a different location.
Correct.
It's all, those three lots are all under the same name on the county record. The one that's there plus the next two east. It's called, it's.
Is that per Onyx or is that per county?
Onyx or.
Yeah, It's under Adam C. Andresen.
Right, he bought it from him,
Yeah.
Troy Field. So if you look at,
Next lot, right up to the house.
so, yeah. And I mean, I am totally open to that, and I think that's appropriate, and we could even do that, like, we won't approve a conditional use permit until that's done.
Yeah,
We still have other recourses to,
I did have a couple of comments. One is the applicant now requesting a rezone is not the one who put all this stuff there.
right,
It's a different person. As far as I understand, I think it's a family member, but it's not the same person. So I understand the one who put all the stuff there is now operating out of Manti and trying to move his business there. I've heard that. I haven't confirmed it. So I don't know if that's fact or not, but one thing, if this does go, I mean, part of the trouble, Chad brings up a good point. We've been dealing with this for a long time. Not just, you go back and look at our records and interactions with police officers, like that. This has been a code issue for a long time. We've got lots of interactions, starting with trucks, starting with animals, starting with other things. We've had this, he's been to our, to our justice court and some other things, but if we change from, there's a little bit of gray area in the past because the family owned all of it and some of it was zoned industrial, right? He gets, it's not as blatant if it's industrial zone compared to a residential zone. So for a little while, he was just moving stuff across the fence, saying it's industrial zone, and then he moved it back again, and we had this ongoing conversation. One thing about changing it from to a clear R3, so there is some, we allow farm businesses, the RA zone related to agriculture. That's a rural agriculture zone. I don't think this qualifies as that. But an R3 eliminates all of that completely, right? An R3 is a clear residential. Now
Black and white.
it becomes black and white that this is in violation. It becomes easier for us to enforce it. So I'll throw that out there just for consideration. And I do think prior to any building permit being issued, for sure, conditional use permits have to happen before it comes in with, fourplex or anything like that. Those are all appropriate, conversations to have as part of that as well. So I think there's multiple steps where we can still, zoning enforcement, conditional use permit. I think there's other steps where we still have some leverage there to help that get cleaned up.
I'm wondering if part of the approval could lead to something like a environmental impact type study. I don't know what the right word for it is, to check for waste oil and antifreeze dumped onto that ground. Because if that's on that ground, and
Everybody's gonna have trouble.
that could possibly be a real problem.
And that's, I agree, that's my issue with the other one. It's just, everybody else has rules and that they have to follow, and
So I would like to see
opinion.
something
I
to that
agree.
effect in there to it would surprise me if there's a lot of stuff on there.
I
At
just
what
wanna-
point in the building process would somebody pick that up and not,
Well, you just cover it up with dirt sometimes. If you find it, you just cover it up with dirt. Or you can have it checked
Part
somewhere.
of that is a buyer beware. If you don't know the history of the thing, then sometimes that kind of stuff gets covered up in other cases. We would want to, like we do, at least know about it. We would at least want to do some due diligence, I would think, on our end as a city, as part of the conditional use permit, the building permit. Things like that.
Is there a development permit application associated with this? Or,
No, it's a rezone only. He hasn't applied for any building permits yet.
No.
I think he's still a little ways out before he applies for a building permit.
in my conversations with him, he was like, I want to know what I can do with the property first. And so he's like, this is my idea. If this gets approved, I will continue forward. So,
Mayor, may I make a recommendation to?
Sure.
I think it would behoove the council to, table this item, pending a, further,
Analysis?
analysis and cleanup of the site. And that we will readdress it when the time comes that development application such as a zoning permit or a conditional use permit for future use is submitted. And that in concert of that, we would then look at the rezone. And in the meantime, the applicant should be directed to work on cleaning up the site per the concerns that have been raised here. And we can take a look at it then. I think that the potential of a rezone, he wants to know what he can do. I think that unless we have a specific application of what he wants to do, the potential for a rezone is we want to know what he wants to do. And the rezone is always available to him in the future. He can rely on the R3, which is what we're proposing, right? He can rely on the R3 when he comes in with a development permit that is consistent with the R3 zone.
And that course of action would be simpler than us turning him down.
I don't think we want to tell him he can rely on that.
You'd be the gist of, we're not denying your application.
Right, because that would be an implied contractual agreement.
Sure, I agree with that. What I'm trying to get at is that the R3 zone is still going to be there, and the uses within the R3 zone, the potential uses are still going to be there when he comes back with a development permit that fits within that zone.
What would the analysis, sorry, I'm speaking a little bit out of turn, but the analysis, would we also want to find out all property ownership and this bigger conversation of, or are we just talking about the proposed thing?
I don't think we can look at that as part of the application.
Because they're not coming forward, those other.
Yeah. So what we can look at is who owns this property, because they're the ones involved. And if there's a cleanup or a code enforcement type action that the city wants to look at, we can look at that and then have the, say, because this is legislative, you have all the power, right? A rezone is a legislative action that you can choose. So you can flat out say, we're not interested in rezoning this until you clean it up. You can say that.
Okay, let's go back to the original item. The rezone, Troy Bill, 469 West, 100 South. Do I have a motion for that rezoning? If I don't have a motion, then it
Dies.
yes. So do I have a motion? Okay, having no motion, then I think what we want to direct the applicant to is that we would like to see the property cleaned up, and then let's talk.
Okay.
But also, in this, to bring out Chad's concerns and Anthony's concerns and Lloyd's concerns is there a problem with contamination of this property? And I'm a little hesitant with that because I don't want to put this burden on a new owner who didn't create the problem. But this is probably something he should have looked at
He needs to know.
Right.
before he purchased property.
One of the stipulations that we can use in approving a conditional use permit has to do with the safety. Has to do with safety.
Public safety.
Public safety. And that could be in play in this situation.
So if you'll just let him know
Yes.
those concerns that we have.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 4, which has been rescheduled. Now item 5, we're moving along. Approval of the August 19th, 2024 warrant register. Any questions regarding the warrant register?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 19th, 2024 warrant register.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Stevens, second by Councilmember Nordfeld. All in favor?
Yes.
It is approved unanimously. Dennis? You'll rip
I
that.
said yes. Oh,
Yes.
yes, I'll get it.
Moving on to item 6, approval of the August 5th, 2024 City Council Planning Meeting Minutes.
That was the one that's got.
Yes. Any questions regarding those minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the August 5th, 2024 City Council Planning Meeting Minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Anderson, second by Councilmember Perry. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, it passes unanimously. Item number 7, approval of the August 7th City Council Work Meeting Minutes. Any questions regarding those work meeting minutes? Looking for motion?
I move that we approve the minutes for the August 7th work meeting. Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Nordfeld, second by Councilmember Stevens. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Moving on to item 8, approval of the August 7th, 2024 Truth and Taxation Hearing Minutes.
We've got lots of minutes, don't we?
We do.
I move that we approve the August 7th. Taxation.
Would you put in the year there?
August 7th, 2024.
Thank you. Motion made by Councilmember Bill,
Second.
second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, it is unanimous also. Approval of the August 7th, 2024 City Council Meeting Minutes.
I move that we approve the August 7th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes.
Motion made by Councilmember Nordfeld. Second by Councilmember Stevens. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2, council reports or appointments. An appointment, Tyler Alder, to a 3-year appointment to the Recreation Board as an alternate.
He'll be good at that.
Any thoughts, any questions about that?
Well,
Looking for motion?
I'm happy to approve the 3-year appointment for Tyler Alder to the Recreation Board as an alternate.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bill. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll begin with our council reports with Anthony.
Thank you. I spoke with Julie Donaldson last night and things are going well with the from Youth City Council. The fly-in is coming. Although they have an event even before that, this weekend with Fun on the Farm, Friday, Saturday at the fair. They are appreciative of, this is going to be a question I have for everybody, appreciative of our funding, their trip up to Logan and to Salt Lake. Yeah, they have these 2 conferences. Otherwise, Julie said they really have very few expenses. They recycle the coats each year. They try to keep everything. They do fundraising. They help with the 5K for the Scandinavian Days. They really don't ask for much, but they said, or Julie asked me yesterday, can you let me know if we have a budget? I don't want to spend the city's money inappropriately. Right now,
The budget.
we just go to these, the only 2 things that we spend money on are for these conferences. And I shouldn't say conferences, but
Leadership.
leadership trainings, one's at the Capitol, one's at Logan. But she said, yeah, if she needs to operate differently, and she said, I'm assuming if I need money, I need to come to the city and ask for it. There's not an account with
There's always been
There
an
is
account.
$1,000 in it or something.
Not that much, but there is an account, and what I would recommend, Anthony, is if you would invite Julie, we need to sit down, the 3 of us together.
Yeah.
And go over that.
But there's an actual.
There is a budget.
There is.
There's always been there.
Great, she'll be thrilled. Maybe they'll, I don't know. The fly-in, they're all getting ready for that, and they're gonna be spray painting the line or
Parking lot.
painting the lines in the target, yeah. and doing all of those things very soon. And as things go on there, we had to cancel our library board meeting last night and move it to next Tuesday. Because we hadn't noticed something in time or something, so we wouldn't have been able to vote and make progress, and so we thought, let's delay a week. Not much to report there.
I may
Yeah, please.
yield some time. Library board chair Dana Bagnall visited with me and tendered a resignation effective for the end of September.
Yeah, she has some considerations. She's done a great job. And yeah, rap tax, we had a report, I think Jordan forwarded that on at least to those of us on the committee, but yeah, the funds were dispersed appropriately according to the grant that we had and some other boring stuff, but it was good. So, all three of my committees are going well, and Julie, we're meeting on September 9th at 8:30 p.m. In the border conference room over the rec area, so that'll be nice to connect. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilmember Perry.
All the departments haven't met, I guess, lack of agenda items, so I guess that's a good thing. The departments, some of the ones I've talked to have, they're very busy. Got lots of things going on in all the departments. Everything's going good, but just no shortage of work. Just a couple of questions for the council, things that are kind of concerning me. I just was wondering. One is to Sean is, and maybe we don't need to, but I'd like to look at the road course agreement, the lease agreement with Snow College.
So we've been researching that. There's myriad of rabbit hole there. And I apologize, I haven't followed up with you on that, but there's ownership issues and different ownerships for the different rope courses. There's technically 2 different rope courses up there. And we have yet to find an actual agreement between Snow College and Ephraim City, because the Snow College portion may be on Snow College property and it may be the other one that's not. We're still working through that.
Yeah, you can look at like Onyx, and it's not set in stone, but Snow College is the back part. My thing is I think the city needs a lease, and think we need to know who's up there for liability. And if that's who we want, it's kind of like now, whoever wants to go in there just goes in there and does what they want, or, I just think we need to look into the lease and make sure
To make sure we're covered.
we're covered and we're getting something for it. I mean, if Snow College is leasing it out to somebody else, I don't know. That's what we don't know. I would just like to know that, because if somebody for our property, we're probably liable for it right now with nothing, maybe or maybe not. But I'd like us to see us look into it and make sure everything's good before something may happen, or hopefully it doesn't.
Would you check with Snow and find out?
I talked to Carson Howell on Monday night about it. And we're still both digging through the archives and trying to figure out because neither us nor them really know what's going on.
Okay, and I know Sean's been working on it. I just thought I'd bring it up for everybody, because
You know-
we were talking about the business license down here. And you brought up that they were doing some things at the road course, and I just, feel the city needs to know who's up there, and if that's what we want, that's fine, or get it in black and white, so we're not get caught in something that we don't like.
Great.
So, another thing that's concerning, and I don't think anything it's a city thing, but it's more a school board thing, but if anybody dropped their kids off, I dropped my kids off the first day of school, my grandkids.
At elementary.
Oh my gosh, I wish they could get a bus system. I think it'd be more safety, more fuel, more,
And all those
more
individual cars.
everything. It'd be easier for the police department, be safer for the kids and the citizens. I mean, it is horrible. I just wish the school board would run some extra buses around to, I know it's their deal and they're probably not going to do it because they're cutting back in some of these towns, but man, if they would make a loop, they bus them from Manti over if they, I mean, it's dangerous, it's scary. And it's not the kids, it's all the traffic. It's crazy out there. It's just something I wish, I guess everybody wishes, but my heaven, it's scary for everybody out there. I just wish they could run some more buses around the local area. My heck, can you imagine all the gas and the pollution and everything else, plus the safety? And would go a long ways. I don't know if somebody could bring it out. Well, I'm sure they have, but I just, where it involves the city, it's really concerning, all that traffic up there, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then if they put the high school up there, eventually it's, my word, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Chad, what I think we could do is invite Superintendent Squire and principal to talk about traffic control. We can't do anything about buses. There's federal laws about the distance that kids have to be 1.5 miles or 2 miles away before they're eligible for funding for a bus. But I do think there is room to talk to the school
Yeah.
district and say, let's be good partners with traffic control and
Yeah,
drop off
something
and
like
pick up
that
policies.
would be kind of
Innovational.
before something bad happens. And just maybe get some ideas from them. I mean, we've been lucky so far, but there's been a few pedestrians hit around town lately. And they've been in a safe place in
6 feet.
crosswalks.
All year long.
And it still happens, but up there, my gosh, there's kids, they do a good job, but there's so many. It's hard to put, it's hard, and a lot of them are real small kids that are kind of going, but I would appreciate something like that. I'd be willing to go meet with them or talk to them. I wish they could run buses, but even look into some traffic, get some ideas, get the ball rolling would be great. That's about all I got. I've talked a lot, but
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
They've had interim meetings yesterday and today. I looked at all the ones yesterday and it was all about budgeting practices. I didn't listen to very many of those. Did you, Sean?
I did not.
Okay, I don't know, maybe John did. Today they were talking about some interesting things that kind of make you a little scared, but anyway, they talk a lot about, this affordable housing is big deal. And it's big to the governor. But it's really hard. Affordable housing now is $400,000 in our area,
450.
450 to 450. And then you've got contractors who don't want to build affordable housing. They want to build bigger and better and more money. So it's not, the housing affordability thing is really hard. It's really hard. And so anyway, they also, a lot of the contractors want that. I don't think it passed last year where they can hire their own building
It did
inspector.
not pass last year, but it's still a bug in the legislature.
Yeah, and they still kind of want it, the builders. And then I was listening to them talking about impact fees, and I don't know what they're gonna do. They're trying to figure out how to use impact fees, but they said there's a really good article from the Utah Trust Lands and by Chase Andreezy. Now that will Chase, what did we call? Anyway, he used to be our
Or
legal
Superman.
counsel.
Or Superman.
Yeah, oh gosh, we had a lot of fun with him. Anyway, so I'm gonna go on there and see if I can find that Chase Andreezy article because they said it was awesome. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
Yes, I have a comment on, Councilmember Chad. When I went to school, I walked uphill both ways in 2 feet of snow, 12 months out of the year.
I think we all did.
Maybe the kids can walk. Anyway, fire department, doing very well. They've had several call outs. One in particular that's kind of humorous, but it's not. In one of the apartments, up the park place, their fan in the bathroom had overheated. And it's done this before in other apartments. Started a fire. The fire was to the side of a water line, burned the water line broke and put the fire out. And then flooded the apartment.
Comedy of
So,
good and bad.
so we continue to get called out a couple of times a week. And so that's good. Good cohesion now with the new man.
That's good planning and zoning.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Chief Robinson needs to talk to the owners, managers about checking into that. If it's a reoccurring problem.
Yeah, well, we can't. They have to fix some stuff themselves. Chamber of Commerce, there's a invitation to go golfing because of our membership in the Chamber of Commerce. 4 people can go golfing at their tournament. But we don't know anybody that golfs, do we, Sean?
Not locally.
No.
Dennis Golfs.
Dennis, do you golf?
I like to golf.
Do you want to be our representative at the Chamber of Commerce golf tournament?
What is it?
I'll look it up. I'll get with you.
They take 4 people. So the things are moving along well there. Life is pretty good. It's nice and cool in the morning.
Oh, isn't that
So,
nice? Yeah.
That's,
Before it warms up.
It's gonna get cooler.
yes, it is. The fishing's good on the mountain. I'll tell you that. Okay. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilmember Nordfeld.
I wasn't able to make the airport board meeting, so I'll have Sean give us a report during his time. I'll cede some of my time to him. They changed it from Thursday to Tuesday and I couldn't be there, but our rec board.
That isn't a permanent thing, is it?
No, just the one time. I can't remember what the issue was about. The rec board met and finally had a full quorum to be able to meet and I think the biggest thing on their mind right now, besides the programs, is they'd like to get some pickleball courts in Ephraim.
Yeah.
So there's some discussion with Snow College to partner on some pickleball courts.
One's by the old elementary.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that'd
that's
be a
what
good
they're looking at doing, but using maybe some wrap tacks in the future for some pickleball courts. I wouldn't be surprised. They've talked about this. I didn't put this bug in their ear, but they talked about getting a big group to come to the meeting in September. So we may be hearing from them.
Have them come September, what is it, 4th?
Yes, so be today.
That's right. The one that we canceled.
Holy God.
See, Lloyd, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night.
We canceled that meeting.
That's all I got.
Thank you. As most of you, I think all of you know, Fountain Green experienced some devastating flooding. Monday morning, I was on the phone with Mayor Coombs and offering any type of help that we could give him. We've had residents from Ephraim go and help that I'm aware of.
Young
And
single adults, why not Monday night?
yeah,
Who did?
Young single adults.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause he's
Mayor
taking
Coombs and
it.
I had a very good discussion. And then today, he called me because we had offered sandbags. We have sandbags that are already filled. And so I had offered that to him Monday morning, and he said he didn't need them, that they were fine. He's reconsidered that quite a bit, and so he called this morning and said, hey, can we get those sandbags? And so Jeff's crew delivered 12 pallets of filled sandbags to Fountain Green this afternoon. Mayor Coombs called me right after that and was extremely grateful for the health. You know, that was a 500-year flood, and Brian will attest to the fact that once you have an event like that, it resets, every day resets the clock. You can have, as Enoch had, 2 500-year floods within 7 days. Yeah. And so they're very nervous about the weather forecast for Thursday and Friday. Monday morning, Sean and I met, and I looked at Sean and I said, okay, tell me the 12 things you would do right now if we were Fountain Green.
I think I got 3 of
I know. And so it was good to plan through that, because any of these mountain ranges, what happened is that storm went over those west mountains and that water just came off the mountains. I mean, they received 3 to 4 inches of rain in 1 hour. And a mountain range just sheds that fast of rain. And so I think it's something important that we work through in our own thinking. And because, you know, like I said, every day is a new day in the clock, and that 500-year or 100-year flood gets reset every day. Brian?
Just want to mention, if we saw the same rainstorm, we would have the exact same result.
Yes.
We would have houses underwater, basements full of water. We would have the exact same result. We're not immune to that. Our system can't even come close to handling that kind of rain.
Well, we also have some burn scars up on the mountain too that could cause some problems. That's what's, I think, over in Fairview, they've had some burn scars, you know, that it has some growth, but still you still get a lot of.
Yeah.
And burn scars, you got a potential to get a lot of water.
Right.
Through there.
So, you know, I think, a good exercise for us to think through, what would we do? The condos north of Ephraim in that north section are making great progress. I don't know if you've driven by there lately.
Yeah, they're going up fast.
They are,
On both sides.
yeah.
Both sides of the street. I know which ones are Layton, but who's the other one?
Who is the other one?
I forget.
West Allen.
Les Allen.
But Salon is doing the condos and Jeff Darian is doing the store.
Another thing is, a week ago yesterday, or was it today, we had a couple hit walking in Ephraim. This is, Chief Zeman and I have talked about this, and Sean and I have talked about this. Somehow we have got to get our residents to put the brakes on. I had a resident in front of my house that was probably doing 45 today. Little kids, that's a family residential area. And she wasn't paying any attention. I mean, scared me, and I was in the yard. I think somehow, and I'm gonna write about it again in my monthly newsletter. We have really, I mean, Connie and Gary could have been killed real easy. Gary was hurt much more than Connie, and those are friends of mine. And
Was it a speed thing or was it a sun? Something. Sun's been bad. You know?
what would you say? It was kind of major errors.
Not necessarily speed, because they were turning left
Just lack
from the
of,
west side.
lack of paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, so the actual violation was, failure to yield to pedestrian in crosswalk, but as far as our department, we've, as much as we can, being shorthanded, we've ramped up enforcement, encouraged the officers to get out there and almost zero tolerance,
That's what I was going to say.
almost zero
You
tolerance.
get a warning and that doesn't sometimes do the trick. If if the word gets around that they're handing out tickets.
Well, and council member, that's my conversations with Colby is we need to be visible as our police officers with people pulled over.
Yeah.
Be visible in the community, pulling people over.
And so it's a concern, Snow College students will return on Saturday. And that will up the ante considerably. It'll up the congestion and the traffic in our, and the Seattle, unfortunately. And so we just need to really be cautious about this.
Can I say something?
Sure,
on that
please.
too? I had some people over the weekend that came on my street and a lot of people speed. I mean, you're not gonna catch them, but they were pulling a four-wheeler trailer and they pulled up as fast as they could and flipped around and go down and park with about 6 or 7 other guys to go get a hamburger. He got out of the truck and I says, hey, you gotta slow down. I mean, I know he was going way over the speed limit. And it got pretty aggressive. He just flipped me the bird and then I went down the corner and he was coming across and I says, you got grandkids here playing. You can't go up that and down that street. I'm gonna call the cops if I have to. He says, I don't care. And he says, I'll just tell him I was going 25, flipped me off and walked off. So I was taking my grandson down. So I went and found one of the officers and told him, I said, my point was just slow down. I says, I don't mean to write him a ticket. I just, he's gonna argue and he said he's gonna go 25. I know he's going way over, but just tell him to slow down. That's all my concern. Somebody's gonna get hit or hurt, and he was so aggressive and
I don't know what it is, but since COVID, it feels like am I reading this wrong? It just feels like nobody is I mean, I go up north and I do the speed limit and I get lights flashing at me and everything.
oh, they get real.
That's because you're in the left lane.
Well, sometimes that's true. But
That's me.
is that a common thing that's happened?
If you look at what's happened in our laws, with the new road rage laws, that's been something that hasn't been needed
Right.
up until this point, but there's definitely a new feeling, even with our interaction with the public, there's, and this isn't with our residents are always great, but a lot of people passing through are giving officers a lot more attitude than they usually do. So yeah, I'd say something's changed, whatever that is.
It's a real concern. And we support you giving tickets.
Yes.
That's all I have.
All those blinking lights out on town or anything, the permanent ones that go up and run off batteries, do they do any good?
So we had talked about that when we had our meeting with Outage, on some of their changes with our ministry. And that's what they were gonna look at, was some speed signs and things like that. Some grants.
Lights around them.
We actually had a resident call us this week offering to pay for one. And we had to explain that we can't just do that because it's a UDOT road and you have to follow their rules, but.
Okay, turn the time over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. I'm gonna try and go quick tonight. First off, we'll throw this up here for everybody to see. This is, we got our new security cameras in our library.
Oh,
And-
you did.
And so we've got indoor and outdoor, and I don't want to give away our entire security plan, but, and this will take a second to pop up, but we've got it so we can see entrances and such, and this records. So, folks at the library are much happier, that we've got some extra security there. So we're grateful for the funds that, went into that. Had a chat with Attorney Cowdell today. As you know, with Daniel leaving, we're reevaluating what our relationship is with the Cowdell law firm. We're trying to come up with solutions. One of the things that we talked about as a frustration that I've had as city manager is that when we have somebody come down and be in office, the idea with our agreement is that we would have somebody in office 2 days a week. And the concept of that is that we wanted to have availability and thought that having somebody physically here would provide more availability. And what we found is that that availability was lessened because they're spending half their day driving here and back. And we're only getting 2 or 3 hours in a day and not really that availability that we looked at. So I'm looking at Tracy to be creative and maybe less having somebody here physically, but having somebody available that we can call and get on Zooms and be more open to meetings throughout the week and drop-ins to do that. But what that may mean is an attorney via Zoom at our council meetings, and just wanted to make sure that the council was comfortable with that concept before I made any commitments with Tracy. Seeing some nods. Okay.
It's good, it's better.
Okay. We've already talked about no meeting on September 4th, a couple of airport items. The new airport tractor that was funded with our FAA money this year will be delivered next week. And we're still looking for a permanent place to house it. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with search and rescue or in our hangar. Temporarily, that'll likely be stored at Manti's Public Works Yard because they're the ones that do most of the maintenance and the plowing and stuff. But this is going to be a big thing for us to have a tractor that has a sweeper and a plow blade so that it can keep the airport safer on that. This is our last meeting before the fly-in on September 14th, so just want to reiterate that. And then I want to give, we need to congratulate Chief Zeman and Lieutenant Cragen, who have both been selected to attend the FBI's Executive Command College. Now, when I tell you that it's held in West Yellowstone, I wonder how much command colleging they're going to be doing.
There's grizzly bears up there, and grizzlies
Yeah.
will kill you.
My guess is they're gonna be learning about the zone of death that is on the Idaho side of West Yellowstone. If you want an education about that.
Fishing poles, you gotta take the poles to beat the fish off.
So they'll be attending, when do you attend that, Chief? October, so, but this is a very prestigious thing. They have to apply and get accepted. This is a big deal for us in our police department. And then one other thing, the league has been sending out notices about this. They want us to remind all of our elected officials that per Utah code, public entities are prohibited from expending public funds on electoral matters. What this means is we cannot politic from the dais or act as the city. We can't advocate for or against certain policies. This is relevant to you because even though you don't know it, the legislature today, as they discussed their referendum, their citizen referenda constitutional amendment, this has relevance to a city council because you are a legislative body that our residents can refer laws to us and follow that same petition process to enact laws here in the city. And as such, we are not allowed to use city facilities or city funds to politic for or against those type of ballot initiatives. So, and that includes the state level. So we cannot, as a city council, say we are in favor of constitutional amendment A, B, or C. You as your individual person can say that. We cannot as a body politic of Newburgh City. So just as a reminder, I know you all know that, I'm preaching to the choir, but we just have to be safe in what we do here in our halls of the city government. Just a quick follow-up from our last meeting, I want to personally apologize to the council. We brought the logo idea to you. I was premature in that. We jumped the gun. I should have come to the council and said, this is the issue that we're having. This is how I'd like to solve it. And I should have gotten your buy-in before going out and getting a prototype of a logo that we could use. And I did that inappropriately, and I beg for your forgiveness in that. As you discussed last week, you wanted to put some stuff out to a contest or something like that. And right now, city staff just doesn't have the bandwidth or the desire to referee that type of contest. And so we're gonna just put off the entire logo thing And when the time is right, we will come back and do that process properly.
One question for me, for you. What's the status on the chip seal?
Chip seal.
For the whole.
Yeah, so this is again my fault. We've been working on procurement issues. Jeff has brought me stuff to do procurement and we've been working on an RFP, and just as things have come up, we just can't seem to get together to finish that. And we're to the point that we're late enough in the season that there likely will not be any chip sealing done this summer. However, the budget money that we can use, we'd like to get the RFP out so that we can start really quick in the spring and be first in line in the spring to do any chip sealing.
So Staker Parsons is, usually we've used them.
Yes. And it's not to preclude that we can't use them again. It's how we go about asking them, right? It's going through the proper procurement process of securing bids and what bids we use. So there are particular state laws that we want to make sure that we're in compliance with as a city.
I'm highly concerned that we would miss a year. We haven't missed a year in a lot of years.
So we were kind of told last year that we could no longer direct select. Everything has to be put out to bid. So, I called around last year. We did direct select Staker Parsons last year. I did call around, to various, asphalt companies. Nobody offers chip seal besides, that we know of besides Staker. So,
So if they're the only provider, then do we have to?
We have to follow procurement policy, so
Okay.
we have to make a bid available for anybody to do
Right,
that.
okay, so let's do that.
And we've been working on getting our bid package together to send out.
And if we don't use that money this year, can we do double next year?
Well, what we can do is in the spring, do what we budgeted this year, and then once July hits, we can be ready to go for another round.
So
And
from
do
May, so basically from May to June, or whenever the season starts, that they can start doing that. They can still do that in this budget year. And then at that time, we'll definitely get bids out in springtime for the next fiscal year. So there's a possibility of two concurrent seasons running that summer, from May through August.
Sort of back to back.
Yeah. And Mayor, this is again, my responsibility because I'm the one that brought procurement issues to Jeff. If Jeff had his druthers, he would have gone out and sole sourced Staker and had it done this year.
I mean, I can't remember the last time when we didn't do a certain amount of roads in our city during the summer. So that,
It's concerning.
it'll just put us back.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I wanted to bring up with you, have you contacted KSL, ABC4, Fox 13, Channel 2?
Not yet. I was out with health issues
I
last week
know,
and I will get on that.
there's a little problem.
The weather.
Yeah.
That's your legacy now.
This is gonna be my grocery store. Just like every time he talks to developers, he asks about a grocery store. Every time he talks to me, he's gonna ask about the weather.
Okay,
Hey, and I'll
While
make,
you're talking to him about the weather, let's see if they can get better prognosticators.
yeah, the day that this storm, Mayor Coombs told me this morning, the day the storm hit, guess what the percentage of rain was for Fountain Green that day? 15%. I said, plus 1,000.
I'll make the motion to go into closed session pursuant to the provisions of the Utah State Code sections 52-4-205 for the purpose of discussing purchase, exchange, or lease of real property and sale of real property.
Motion made by Councilmember Stevens, second by Councilmember Bill. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Thank you.